Hi, my dear Icap colleagues and friends. Thank you so much again for attending a Live Well, Work Well, Happy Hour session. I wanted to create this quick video to go over what was important in our session 1, and also for some of you who were unable to attend this session and I know wanted to continue with the program, I wanted you to have an opportunity to see what we learned and what we covered in session 1. So the first thing we did is we kind of walked around, shook our hands, and maybe gave a few hugs. And the reason we did this is because when we shake our hand and when we make that connection, we release chemical called oxytocin, and that is a trust chemical. So basically we create a trust amongst each other, and it's also a love chemical, and it's a compassion chemical. And it's really important that we release some of these chemicals that will help us really become happier. We also made a commitment, and some of us sent a note to our Icap friends telling them that we are working on changing our habits. What was really important in my story is that what I realized is that when I went to the doctor, if you recall, so I lost about 35 pounds. I had a problem with the heart, with the stomach, with the foot, and all of a sudden, after changing all my habits little by little, most of these problems really disappeared. And I really like to say that by changing my psychology, I truly changed my physiology, and I want to help you folks do the same thing. Happiness, it's just a rat race, so we think we're gonna find it somewhere else, so we keep searching for it, but it's actually could only be here and now. If we are happy with and grateful with what we have today, that is only the time to be happy. So we talked about why we're happy today, and a lot of people making a commitment to make some change, to improve some habits, simply become happier, and really become even more successful. A flourishing program. It is all about flourishing. It's about PERMA, and that stands for we want to increase positive emotions, engagement, improve relationships, which, as we know, is the #1 predictor of happiness. Look at the meaning and the accomplishment. This is our SPIRE, and you will see that we're covering, spiritual, physical, intellectual, relational, and emotional well-being. Here you will see just some of the things that we'll cover through the program. The first thing we talked about is a character strength, and we really want to focus on what we're good at rather than what we're not good at. That is really the key of science of happiness. So what determines happiness? We know that 50% is basically it's based on our genes. So some of us just simply have a more happy genes. 10% is based on circumstances. So that is, how we live, where we grew up, our friends, family, house, schools, and so on. And then 40% is left for us to do what we want to do. 40% of our life we can change only if we apply some of the tools, and if we live better life, we're gonna really change our life. We talked about focus, and I showed this slide, and I kind of blanked it out, and I asked people to see how many kids are on the bus, but I really asked them to focus on the shapes, and while everybody was counting shapes, almost no one saw the kids on a bus, and not even a bus. So it is really what we focus on that we get out, and the reason is that we get about 2 million bytes per second of information in our brain, and we can only process about 125, 126. So that is why we miss certain things. It's only because we focus on what we want to focus on. Positive psychology. Traditional psychology focuses on taking people from -5, -10 to 0 to the baseline, and basically thinking, well, now you're good, now on your own. Positive psychology takes people from that baseline, if you will, rest of us, and moving us to a +1, +2, +3 to become happier. And in this program, we're going to learn the tools how to do that. Profit and happiness are so highly related. And if you look at this slide, that as we are happier at work, the profit increases. There's a lot of, again, Harvard Business Review dedicated an issue. Time talks about meditation. There's so much science behind it, but we know that happy people are successful, not the other way around. So research shows that happy people are successful. Here's the contribution of happy people based on the research by Sean Aker. We talked about character strength, so please go to viacharacter.org, get that survey. It's going to take you 5-10 minutes. Print out your character strength list, and we're gonna in next session go over it and see how we can apply to live a better life. Most of us, so we chose the habit that we want to change, and we have this 30-day habit challenge where I handed a card and I asked everybody to basically take this card with you and create your new habit. And please, keep it somewhere that's close to you. Maybe it's next to your bed, maybe it's on the pillow with a good working pen on top of it, so that you can record every day if you did or did not do your habit. If this is something that you're doing 3 times a week, that's okay. You just check that mark when you did 3 times a week and just move on. We can cover any more questions about this, just please let me know. So quickly, the habits. There is the habit loop, and there's every habit starts with trigger, then there is a routine, and there is a reward. The reward is what our brain basically gives us. We talked about short-term reward versus long-term, and how our brain really focuses on the short-term, and that is why some of us have a trouble, when we say, to start exercising, to lose weight. It's kind of like long-term. What is the goal of losing weight, a year from now? But brain focuses on the short-term, and that's why it's sometimes difficult to change our habits. Types of habits: we have physical, things we do. We have emotional, believe it or not. Sometimes we feel sad, mad, angry, upset, happy, and often something triggers that. We also have a thinking habit. Often we think certain things, and that becomes the habit, the way we think. And we talked about circle habits, which is when we promise ourselves that we're going to do something, but we keep going in a loop and keep telling ourselves that we will do, but we don't. And with the circle habits, we said you have 2 choices. Choice number 1 is just do it as a Nike. Choice number 2 is put it off until you're ready to deal with it. And then we're going to go quickly through these secrets of habits and happiness. I shared my story when I was growing up in Sarajevo, and basically what happens is, if some of you, did like a sled as a kid, or if some of you ski, you know that as you keep going down, many times, at certain time, after keep going down and keep going down, you create this path that with almost no effort, you're going to end up at the same place. And that's really what happens to our brain. We create this neural pathway so that at certain point, our brain will help us do things that we do without really thinking about it. When we wake up in the morning, we don't think, what do I do now? Do I dress up? What do I do, right? Thank God most of us are lucky that we don't have to think about it. So that's where our brain helps us to deal with the things that it gives us energy to deal with the things that we have to start thinking, such as when we go to work, we got to start thinking. Not everything is a habit. The first thing to do is to believe you can change. Remember work of Bruce Lipton, who basically, once we believe that our body all the way down to the cell level changes. Incredible research. Smile. Just as we smile, we release a chemical called dopamine, which is the happy chemical. And we can actually give ourselves happiness just by smiling, even if we are not happy at that moment. Small wins. Do something small. If you want to start exercising, don't say I'm going to start exercising 45 minutes a day from now on until the day I die, right? So start with 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and so on. Make these small wins. Just like any goal you want to accomplish, everything starts with the small wins. We talked about willpower and how we can actually increase our willpower if we do things that we have never done before. And here are a few examples what we can do to increase our willpower. Some of you promised and made a commitment that you're going to try to brush your teeth with a non-dominant hand for 30 days to increase willpower. So let's please talk about it and let me know, shoot me a note. Let me know how that goes. I would love to hear, see if it's working or not. Activation energy. If you want to do something, make it as convenient as possible for you to do. So if you want to eat healthier food, make sure your fruit is in your kitchen, right on the kitchen table, right on your eye level when you open up the fridge, and the junk food is hidden even if you have it in a house, so that it's 20 seconds away from you. So make it inconvenient to do things you don't want to do. And we need to have, it's great to have accountability partner and also support group, somebody who will hold us accountable. And I already heard from a bunch of folks that already have accountability partner, and that's really great. So we had a small group, we discussed habits, we heard from some folks, and we said, let's make an announcement. So most of us already made an announcement, told some folks that we're gonna do. If you didn't get a chance to do, please just go ahead, make an announcement. Tell your friends what habits you working on, because this is really key of succeeding. So so these are these 7 secrets that we covered quickly, and that's really it. I want to thank you so much. I will try to create these quick little videos that will give you even more knowledge, if you wanted to change. But the key now is, now that you have a knowledge, it's not about that we had a great session and we had a ton of fun. Now is about change. Now it's about, what are you going differently based on what you learned? What are you going differently based on what you learned? So again, great having you in the program, and I will see you soon, and happy new habits.